What's going to happen with COVID in the UK? How can we support each other? How can we help each other? What can we learn from previous epidemics such as Ebola in Sierra Leone? Now, my name's Mike Cashman. Subscribers to this channel will know that I make plenty of political videos. This one I'm going to aim to be non-political, not take a political stance in it. But I have been given various experiences, including being involved not as a frontline health worker, but in organising the budget for the safe and dignified burials and fleet management projects for the Ebola eradication in Sierra Leone as we work towards Ebola eradication and recovery. So, some lessons to share. Just reflecting, first of all, I've just watched a programme on BBC4 called Extra Life, A Short History of Living Longer. And towards the end of it, David Olusoga talked to the director of the Ebola response in Sierra Leone, and a number of interesting things in that programme. I'd like to add one or 2 points and recommend that you do watch the programme if you're interested. So, things to add. We worked a lot through religious leaders in terms of putting messages across through imams, Christian pastors, traditional leaders. There was some mention of that because there was a move of that project from being safe burials to safe and dignified burials. So all the appropriate precautions were taken when you have, sadly, an Ebola fatality, and the body needs to be carefully, clinically dealt with and buried, and that's a safe burial. But to make it a safe and dignified burial, then 10 meters away, you had the pastor or imam, whoever, the family, and prayers being said as the workers in protective gear were burying the body. The programme said that Ebola was eradicated on, I think it was 7th of November 2015, I remember that. There was in fact a further small outbreak in Tonkalili in the north of Sierra Leone, and there was intense effort for contact tracing there because there was a young university student who'd been to university in the south of Sierra Leone, had come across to a market she wanted to visit near the capital, and then gone up north to Tonkalili. And I think it was 190 contacts were identified. So good news for most of them, because there were very few other cases of Ebola. In fact, I think there was one case which was her aunt who had cared for her. So, some tragedy there for the family, but effective contact tracing to identify whether there was any further spread, and Sierra Leone was once again declared Ebola free. Now, I'm going to draw some lessons from that in a moment for the UK. Coronavirus, very different from Ebola in a number of ways, but let's just look at what's going to happen with coronavirus, or what could happen, because I'm going to describe potential future, and the point about this is I know of nothing that's going to stop this happening. It may be that measures will be taken, but let's see, and lobby as appropriate, but anyway. The Delta variant, first identified in India, B1617.2, is spreading exponentially through the UK. I made that point on Any Answers on Radio 4 on the 15th of May. I was the first caller on that. That we are in exponential growth at that point in the relatively early stages, but now much further along. And if you want to see the facts and figures, in fact, the latest facts and figures for whenever you're watching this video, look at Independent Sage on Facebook or on their website. Christina Pargle has explained statistics lately that show very clearly that though you may be seeing a fairly level, perhaps going up a little bit, set of cases, actually that's the original Alpha variant going down and the Delta variant going up exponentially. And when you add those two together, at the moment you get that level line, but that's not a predictor of what's going to happen, because it's going to go like this. The maths is going to tell us that. So we are going to get massively increased number of cases of the Delta variant. That's not really in question. The hope is that the extent of severe symptoms, the extent of hospitalisation and deaths will be dramatically reduced by the extent of the vaccination. We know that there are a large number of unvaccinated people who, particularly if measures are released, but to be honest, even based on the releasing of measures that has happened anyway, a large number of people are going to get COVID-19. Many of them may be very young, because that's the great proportion of unvaccinated people. I don't know what's going to happen with vaccinating children. Two ethical questions to deal with. One is, should a child be vaccinated, bearing in mind that the health risk from COVID are very, very small for younger children, and it's the benefit for the child, or actually the benefit is largely for the community. And the other ethical question is priority of, for example, children in the UK versus more vulnerable adults overseas for a given vaccine. I'm not entering into those ethical questions in this video, just pointing out that there are uncertainties as to how many people will be vaccinated, and it could well be that we have plenty of children unvaccinated. So we will get millions of cases of the Delta variant. The hope, as I say, is that there's fewer serious cases, fewer hospitalizations. The hope is that there's not too much long COVID. I don't know how much basis there is for that. But another factor comes in now, and it's not fully researched because it's not been possible to do that yet. Nobody really knows, but there are some indications that the efficacy of even a double dose vaccine starts to wear off as you get to 3 months or so after that application of the second dose of the vaccine. Now, that means that the people who could be most vulnerable to this widespread number of cases of the Delta variant in the country are the people who got vaccinated first, which is the most elderly, which is those who are most vulnerable to the symptoms, to the health risks from COVID-19 anyway. So this, as I say, is a possible future, that we have large numbers of the Delta variant in the country, that some elderly people are being severely affected by it, and that we start to see a significant number of deaths from the elderly and other vulnerable people. I'm not saying that's bound to happen. I'm saying I'm not aware at the moment of a plan to stop that happening. So that seems to me the default as far as we can see at the moment. I'm trying to look a little bit further ahead than next month's newspaper headlines. So what does that mean? Thinking back to Sierra Leone, religious leaders were influential, and so if you are a religious leader and if you think that it is right to encourage people to be vaccinated who may not have done, particularly in certain communities, then I would encourage you to do that. I'm not proposing compulsory vaccinations, but just encouragement to people to take the step that may look after their own health. The importance, though, of working through the community, I'm very aware Ebola and coronavirus are very, very different diseases, different ways of transmission, whatever, but the community is significant in each case. So in March 2020, that encouraged me to try and make sure there was effective community support where I live, which is Milton Keynes, located and worked with an expanding group of volunteers who are seeking to cover an increasing number of parts of Milton Keynes with community support. We printed 90,000 leaflets, distributed them all over the city, set up a website. Immensely grateful to Ricky from iPrint, who printed the leaflets at cost, to John Allard, who helped to publicise it, to Nick Tasker, who did all the work to set up the website, pro bono. And, this has kind of been a long haul. There were some people who thought that this might be a kind of 6 weeks or 8 weeks need to support the vulnerable. I actually set up the website. I had to decide how long it was that we needed to set the website up for. I set it up for 2 years. Great credit to, I mentioned some of the external people, as it were, but to Lucy and all the area coordinators who supported that, and they've had a shout out of support on the one show with Davina McCall. The point that I'm making is that community support is crucial, and this may be a long-term thing, and maybe some people are worn out and others need to help. But there may be, I say elderly, I'm kind of thinking 70 plus, but actually, and younger people who have particular vulnerabilities as well. So there may be a number of people who may want to isolate. So I'm not making any case one way or another for increasing restrictions, but as the nature of the third wave, if we get that, becomes clear, people may want to take decisions that say they're actually going to take significant steps to isolate. So that community support may be important. So say leadership may be important. Little example, which has nothing to do with Sierra Leone, is in terms of a summer holiday. As it happens, we just made a decision to have a summer holiday elsewhere in England by means of a house swap with friends. So, compared to other means of holidays, other forms of accommodation, that is not exposing us to a great number of extra contacts. Obviously, we do a little bit by being out and about, but that's an easy and very low-cost way of organising a holiday. You can do it with friends, or there are agencies for that as well, I know. So that's some lessons applied from Sierra Leone. I think I said at the start, the opinions are my own. I was working with World Vision UK, coordinating a consortium that also involved CAFOD, the CRS as well, with funding from, I should acknowledge, from UK Aid, from Department for International Development, as it then was, from Irish Aid, and from US Aid as well. So international cooperation is important too. This video was more about the UK. There is a lessons learned report. So Caroline, another World Vision staff member, and I coordinated a lessons learned session from the consortium, but there was a more formal external evaluation. There's a degree of strong objectivity and examining evidence and so on done after the project that we commissioned. And the report of that is available on the World Vision UK website. I'll aim to put a link to it here. Protecting the living, honouring the dead. What I have tried to do is to pull out some of the major lessons from that experience in this video here, so that you don't need to read the whole report. But there is a good summary at the start if you did want to read that and check against what I've been saying here. So there you are. As I say, I've been given these experiences, a bit of mathematical knowledge, the experience of organising that consortium in the later stages of the Ebola eradication and recovery. It was me with the consortium making the case line by line with the budget with DFID in Sierra Leone office as we covered the later stages of eradication and recovery. So I thought it was worth sharing, but here you go, hopefully with no politics. Hope that's been useful. Try to be a little bit of a look ahead, and if you feel that it has been, please share this video with people who you think might find it useful. Thank you.